بل محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على Muhammad وآل Muhammad. To end the final majlis of these Khamsa majlises, we'll have Brother Sadiq read Dudul of the Quran. Bal Muhammad وآل Muhammad صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك سوط عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Hassan. Can we get a loud salawat for Brother Sadiq? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Next, we'll have Brother Daniel Iqbal recite Salam in Urdu. Brother Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allah.
बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन। तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। चलते नाते से गिराया खुद को जलती रेत पर। चलते नाते से गिराया खुद को जलती रेत पर। घुटनियों के बल में तेरी लाश तक आई हुसैन। बस मैं घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर। बस मैं घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर। फिर किसी मुश्किल में घिर कर मैं न घबराई हुसैन। कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। भूलने बैठी तो किस किस की न याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। बह रहे थे आँख से आंसू तेरी रुखसत के वक्त। बह रहे थे आँख से आंसू तेरी रुखसत के वक्त। फिर कोई आंसू न टपका, आँख पथराई हुसैन। हाथ में कूज़े लिए सब, आसमां तकते रहे। हाथ में कूज़े लिए सब, आसमां तकते रहे। अब्र ने एक बूंद पानी की न बरसाई हुसैन। दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवे ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। सलवात।
Can we get a loud salawat? Before we begin the majlis, we'll do some announcements. There's a donation table set up in the back in the ladies, and there's one in the front right here. We also have a Zelle QR code in the back if you want to participate in contributing your part to these majlis azab. Please clean up after yourself. When you leave, please keep the drinks and food to a minimum. These majalis is the last majalis of the Khamsa Sajjadiya. There will be a Khamsa Majlis next week from Wednesday to Sunday in Urdu, and then additionally on Saturday and Sunday in English, addressed by Sayyid Ruhullah Wahadi. So now we'll just do, can we have a fatah for all the Muharrameen of the sponsors of today? And they are Sayyid Nusrat Hussain, Nasir Hussain, Mazahir Hassan, Mumtaz Ahmad, Habib Rizvi, Alim Hussain, Fatima Sugra, Shabi Fatima, Tabassum Zahra. Additionally, for anyone without any family members to read Fatah on their behalf, can we get a loud salawat and then followed by Surah Fatah? Allah. Without further ado, I will call up Maulana Sayyid Ali Kazwini for the final majlis of Ayyam Sajjadiya. Can we welcome him with 3 loud salawats? Allahumma salli ala
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا شهيد كربلاء. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعفوا عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, illuminate your hearts and minds and this majlis with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Some people adopt the mentality and they have the attitude when it comes to their decisions, their choices, their lifestyle, they believe the best reference is myself, me, myself, and I. You find some people, they find that their self, their intellect, their resources, their wisdom is unrivaled. It's like ChatGPT, it's like Claude, it's like Gemini. These individuals, there's no such thing as mashwara, as consultation, as seeking advice, picking other people's brains. Some people, they seem to know it all. Whenever they want to do anything, whether they want to start a business, start a restaurant, whether it's they want to get married, whatever it is that they want to do, choose a travel destination, they seem to think that they know it all. They don't need anyone's advice. Other people, they're on the periphery. Unfortunately, in many of our communities, especially people that are elders, people that have much more experience, yes, this experience, it benefits us, but at the end of the day, we all are in need of mashwara, of counsel, of consultation, of advice. This is the path of the prophets of Allah, alayhim afdal salatu wassalam, and the paths of our imams of Ahlul Bayt, alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala. We find mashwara and consultation is a central tenet within the Holy Quran and within the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and the Imams. During the Battle of Badr, Rasulullah actually asked his companions, where do you think we should station our troops? This is the first battle of Islam. It's a weighty battle. The mushrikeen, with their arms, with their strength, are coming to attack Muslims. They're vulnerable. It's their first war. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he's connected to wahi. He's connected to the source of all knowledge and all wisdom. He doesn't need anyone's advice. Does Rasulullah need your advice or my advice or anyone's advice? Socrates and Aristotle and Plato can come and he doesn't need their advice. He's Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And yet even Rasulullah, he would seek consultation from his Sahaba. He would ask them, where do you think we should position our troops? And then the hadith says, several of his Sahaba, they actually gave some suggestions. He listened, he weighed the various suggestions, and he accepted, and the narration even mentions, the suggestion of one of his Sahaba. Rasulullah is trying to impart to us a lesson. During the battle of Khandaq, Rasulullah asked his companions, what do you advise us? A much larger kuffar army, polytheist army is now advancing. And then the great Sahabi, Salman al-Muhammadi, Salman al-Farisi, he gives this famous suggestion of the Khandaq, to dig trenches around the city of Medina so that they are not able to cross with their horses. Now, I'm sure Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, being that he is connected to the wahi, connected to all source of knowledge, infinite wisdom, he could have come up with the best of solutions. But Rasulullah is trying to impart to us something important. Whenever you have a big task, a big decision, you're weighing your options, you have to do your research. And part of doing your research is you ask for people's advice. When you're uninformed on a certain topic, well, one thing you can do is you can go read. Educate yourself about that topic. When you're about to make a choice, see who are the experts in this given field. Who are people that have had experience with this decision that I'm about to make? You're trying to choose a college. Well, first you check the US rankings. Where does this college rank in its various fields? What is the discipline that you're trying to get into? What is it ranked? Secondly, you ask people who have been to that college. People who have graduated. What was their experience? Some people might say, MashaAllah, I loved it. Best of teachers, good campus environment. And then other people will say, A'udhu billah, avoid this place like the plague. The more mashwara, more consultation you do, the clearer the image will be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Holy Quran, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. In the verse that I just stated, Allah is advising the Prophet, whenever you have important matters, do mashwara, do shura. Ask the consultation of your Sahaba. Because to be a proper governor, to be in any form of position, whenever there's a hierarchy, you have people under you, you don't just bark orders at other people. It's a privilege to be able to make decisions. Part of what goes with this privilege is being in a position to make mashwara. You seek the consultation and the legitimacy of people that you're working with. Rasulullah, he does not need anyone's advice, but that's the lesson that he's trying to impart to us. There's one narration that recounts Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi afdal salati wassalam. On the way to Damascus, he was going to go and meet the army of Muawiyah, and then they eventually met in the middle in Safin. He addressed his army, أَمَّا بَعْدْ فَإِنَّكُمْ مَيَامِيرَ رَأْيِ. He says, أَمَّا بَعْدْ, you are people who I will ask for consultation. Now, Amir al-Mu'mineen, if Rasulullah is the city of knowledge, he is the gate of knowledge. He is not in need of anyone's advice, anyone's consultation. Amir al-Mu'mineen has the ilm of awwaleen and akhareen. And yet he says, you are people that I will ask for advice. وَقَدْ أَرَدْنَا الْمَسِيرَ إِلَىٰ عَدُوِّنَا وَعَدُوِّكُمْ. He says, now we're heading to our common enemy, meaning Muawiyah. فَأَشِيرُوا عَلَيْنَا بِرَأْيِكُمْ. So advise me with your opinions. Where should we set camp? How far should we travel? What resources should we bring with us? All these matters, I need your advice. فَلَا تُكَلِّمُونِي بِمَا تُكَلَّمُ بِهِ الْجَبَابِرَةِ. He says, and when you're giving me advice, now you're part of my army and I'm Amir al-Mu'mineen. I am the ruler of 54 modern day countries. He says, but don't speak to me as if I'm a high king and you're just a lowly servant. He says, don't speak in that tone. وَلَا تَتَحَفَّظُوا مِنِّي بِمَا يُتَحَفَّظ بِهِ عِنْدَ أَهْلِ الْبَادِرَةِ. You know, sometimes the sycophants around powerful people, in our current administration in Washington, one reason nothing can get done is all the people around him, they're all yes men. No one knows how to say no. They're all trying to please him. Amir al-Mu'minin says, don't be a yes man. When I ask for your advice, give me your honest opinion. Even if you think I don't like it, I might not agree, give me your honest opinion. Don't treat me like those emperors that are too high to be spoken to. وَلَا تُخَالِطُونِي بِالْمُصَانَعَةِ. Don't be fake with me, is what Amir al-Mu'minin is saying. فَإِنِّي لَسْتُ فَوْقَ أَنْ أَخْطَأ. And of course, this final part is part of the humility of Amir al-Mu'minin. He says, and I'm not above making a mistake. So give me your advice. This is the army of Amir al-Mu'minin on the way to Damascus. In the public affairs of government, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa Amir al-Mu'minin, they would ask for mashwara. And even in private affairs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Holy Quran, وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. What is a mu'min? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, the one who has belief, the one who applies their prayers, the one who is firm in their faith, and the one that engages in shura, in consultation. Benefits from the various talents, from the various minds around them. In another hadith, this is attributed to Imam Rida alayhi afdal salati wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He is speaking about his father, Imam Musa al-Kadhim salamullahi alayhi. He says, كَانَ عَقْلُهُ لَا تُوَازَنُ بِهِ الْعُقُولِ. As for my father, no one could match his intellect, his knowledge, his wisdom. Imam Musa al-Kadhim is Bab al-Hawaj. Who can match Imam Musa al-Kadhim? And yet, Imam Rida says, وَمَعَ ذَلِكَ رُبَّمَا شَاوَرَ الْأَسْوَدَ مِنْ غُلْمَانِهِ. He says, and even then, sometimes he would ask for consultation from one of his slaves, one of his servants. And we mentioned part of the rituals of the Imams, they would purchase these slaves, and then Imam Zain al-Abidin, salamullahi alayhi, his annual tradition was after Eid al-Fitr, he would set them free. He would train them, educate them, give them resources, and then set them free. So it wouldn't even be above him to ask someone that's a servant, someone that has no education. Why? Because every person has a different, unique perspective. You might have a PhD in your given field, but you're always thinking in the box. Someone new can come in. They might not have the same qualifications as you on paper, but they'll have a different perspective, a different way of thinking, and you can benefit from that. Imam Rida, he continues in his hadith. فَقِيلَ لَهُ. So some of his Sahaba, they complained. فَقِيلَ لَهُ تُشَاوِرُ مِثْلَ هَذَا. You would ask consultation from someone like that? From a servant? And then he responds, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى رُبَّمَا فَتَحَ عَلَى لِسَانِهِ. It's a very elegant way of placing it. He says, perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infused his tongue with wisdom at that moment. So why not ask for consultation? In another narration, يروي معمر بن خلاد عن الإمام رضا عليه السلام. This companion, he narrates from Imam Rida, يقول, that the Imam stated, إن الإمام رضا قال لي. He's saying that the Imam informed me. أشر علي برجل له فضل وفهم وعلم وأمانة فأتخذه لنفسي. He says, guide me to someone that is trustworthy, that is knowledgeable, that has virtues, so that I can make that person my assistant. The Imam was in need of assistance at home. The Imam has guests, the Imam has lots of work to do, so he needs assistance. He asks this companion, Ma'mar, find me someone that's trustworthy and competent. And then he says, قال مثلك من يستشير مثلي. Someone like you, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, oh Imam, you're asking advice from me? I mean, you're the Imam. Everyone goes to you for advice. ويعول على رأيي. And he consults my opinion. قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يستشير أصحابه ثم يعزم على ما يريد. And herein is the lesson. He says, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وآله, he would seek the consultation of his companions, and then he would gauge and try to weigh those opinions, and then at the end he would choose what he saw most fit. So seeking consultation doesn't mean you never offer your own input. You don't give your own opinion. you're never exercising your own intellect, it means you're gathering the best of the best opinions. You weigh them, and then you decide what makes most sense to you. Now, what are the various matters that we should seek consultation in? And inshallah, tonight we'll discuss a few. One very important matter and field that you have to seek consultation is in all areas related to marriage. Some people, they go into marriage blind. Blind, they don't know a single thing about the other person. But this is not what the hadith of Ahlul Bayt have taught us. The famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, if someone comes to you with deen and akhlaq, then you can go ahead and accept. How do you know if someone has deen and akhlaq? You go and you ask. You go and you do your research. You do some Instagram stalking perhaps, or no, we do it the traditional way. You go and you ask that person's friends. I mean, every person doesn't just pop out like a mushroom right from the ground. No one comes from a vacuum. Any person that grew up in an area has friends, has teachers, has mentors, has people that have known them all their lives. So if a brother is trying to get to know a sister, you ask the people that know that person. If you can't personally ask, you ask, for example, your mother or someone to go and ask the people that know that person individually and personally. Once, a couple, in their first year of marriage, they came to a Sayyid and they said, you know, we're having lots of difficulties. We need your help. We need some counseling. So he spoke to them, and they've been having some severe issues, and they're contemplating divorce. What's the issue? He speaks first with the man. He says, you know, before marriage, when we were getting to know one another, she seemed like an angel. We were compatible. We seemed like we were going to have a good life. We were a good fit. The moment we got married, she just turned around 180. She's a different person. He spoke with the sister. She said the exact same thing. He was an angel. He was a gentleman. We just clicked. But the moment we got married, he changed. So the Sayyid, he actually asked those individuals, he said, before you got married, how long did you know one another? Was it a week or two or a very short period? They both said, we knew each other for 7 years. My dear brothers and sisters, people don't change overnight. So they were trying to explain to him, Wallahi, Wallahi, I thought he was this way. I thought she was this way. She changed overnight. He changed overnight. Nobody changes overnight. You didn't do your due diligence. You were in that, pre-honeymoon phase. You were blinded by that person's faults. They were always there. You were either blinded or you didn't care to go do your research. A lot of our issues when it comes to families, a lot of our issues when it comes to marriages can be solved by doing simple research. Go and do mashwara. Ask about that person. No one comes from a vacuum. You go and you ask the people that have done mukhalata, that know that person well, and they can give you a more proper image. And by the way, ghiba is haram. One of the exceptions is this. If you have someone, a brother, come up to you saying, I'm interested in this person for marriage, what's your opinion? And you know something that you wouldn't normally share about that person, right? Something wrong that they didn't, or something that you suspect would be a red flag for this person that's asking you. In fact, for the sake of protecting them so that they don't have a marriage and then perhaps a divorce, wal'iyadu billah, because of that issue, you're allowed to mention that fact. Of course, with the proper intention and letting the person know that this is confidential. That's how important this issue is. In one hadith attributed to the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal as-salatu was-salam, the Imam states, when you do your mashwara, you take people's excuses from them. Now, what could this possibly mean? Let me give you an example. There was a brother, he went on vacation with his family, his wife and his 3 kids. Now, that year, he wanted to surprise his family, so he didn't tell them beforehand. He surprised them just one day. He's like, tomorrow, everyone wake up early, we're going to the airport. And he had booked a wonderful vacation to the Caribbean. He had done all the planning. So he says, at first they were excited. But he says, when we went there, the first issue was the plane was delayed. Now he says, I'm not the pilot. I'm not part of Delta. But all my family, my wife, my kids, they're looking at me and they're complaining to me. He says, we arrived there, our first day, should have been a beautiful day, but it was raining. You know, these tropical areas, the weather is unexpected. He says, all they're doing is they're looking at me and they're complaining, why did you bring us here today? I don't have ilm al-ghayb. He says, and like that, so on and so forth, all throughout the trip, anything wrong would happen, they just blame me. Perhaps what the Imam is saying here, if you do mashwara, if you consult, let's say this brother consults his family, and that's in fact exactly what he did. The next year, he didn't surprise them. He actually sat down, he's like, all right, next month, let's do a trip. Where do you guys want to go? So they sat down, they started throwing off ideas. They ultimately landed at Orlando. We want to go to Orlando, Florida, and we want to go to Disney and all these parks. So he's like, all right, that's what you guys want for sure? Yes. They go to Orlando. He's like, all the same type of stuff happened. There were delays at the airport. The parks were so busy, we didn't go on half the rides. All types of, but no one blamed me. Because everyone was involved in the decision-making process. When they're involved, when that person said, yeah, I think this is a good idea, when you get to the destination, no one's going to complain. Or if they're going to complain, they're not going to complain at you. So you take away those person's excuses. That's part of the benefit of consultation. Sometimes you can make the right decision, but not everything is within your control. Things beyond your control go wrong. If you involve all the stakeholders in the process of decision making, then no one will look at you and blame you. Another area where consultation is very important, my dear brothers and sisters, is in matters related to your finances and business. In fact, we have one narration attributed to Imam Ali Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi afdal salati wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. This is in Nahj al-Balagha. He states, whenever you want to do a new business, you want to kick something off, go and try to find business partners that are already established in that field. Why? Because those people, they have experience. They know the pitfalls. All the types of issues where if you started a business, you would have felt, they've been through it, right? So they can advise you and they can be your best business partner. So he says, when you find a business partner, try to find someone that's established, someone that knows the game. Whenever you try to make a decision, consult those people who have expertise. You're trying to expand your franchise. You want to expand your new location here in Jamaica. The first thing that you should do, if you're not from Jamaica, you should ask people that live in this area. Is that a good idea? Do you think that the socioeconomic status of the area would fit this kind of franchise? The tastes of the people ethnically, would it fit with this franchise? If you don't do your research, you'll go in blindly, well, there's a high chance that your business is going to fail. A lot of brothers that I know, after COVID, there was all this investing boom. The first thing they did, they got some money, they invested in GameStop and Dogecoin. Now, perhaps a small minority of brothers, alhamdulillah, made some profits. But a lot of people, they lost a lot of their hard-earned wealth, hard-earned money, because they didn't do any consultation. They just saw that the trend was investing in certain companies, and like, you know what, let me do that. Go and ask. First, you do your research. Try to understand the fundamentals of stock investing. Try to understand what goes into a profitable company. And secondly, not everyone might be very good at all this stuff. Ask people. I'm sure there are people, brothers, people in the community that are well-versed in finance. Perhaps they work on Wall Street. Go and ask those individuals. What do you advise? What do you recommend I read? What do I follow? Their advice would be anything much better than anything you read on Reddit or Instagram or God knows where. So in these areas, you do mashwara, you do consultation. When it comes to your career, you do mashwara. A lot of people, they just blindly go into a career. My parents told me I have to enter medicine. This is wahi from Allah Azza wa Jal that I have to become a doctor. Says who? Did you do mashwara and see the intense amount of effort, work, and sacrifice that goes into this profession? Did you see how these long, grueling days would affect you? Now, if you've done your mashwara and you understand exactly what's going in to this profession and you still like it, well, by all means, tafaddal, go ahead. But a lot of people, they just go in blind. All they think, the professions out there, lawyer, doctor, engineer. Brothers, sisters, go on these websites that rank various professions, Glassdoor, other websites. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of careers out there. And mashallah, we live here in an area where all the educational opportunities to learn are there. There's sectors where you haven't even heard of. There's types of jobs you can't even imagine, and they make 6 and sometimes 7-figure salaries. Do mashwara. Ask people that are in that field. If you're thinking of becoming a doctor, well, go and ask doctors. If you're thinking of becoming an engineer, go and ask engineers. Whatever field that it is, you go and you do mashwara. Some people, their mashwara is the sibha. Whenever there's a major, life-altering, important decision to make, they take out this sibha, Bismillah ya Allah, and that's their mashwara. Or the istikhara from the Quran. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing istikhara from the Holy Quran or consulting the masbah. But the ahadith of the holy Imams and Rasulullah and the seerah and sunnah of the prophets and Rasulullah and the Imams is that before you make any major decision, you do mashwara. Now, could these two be combined? Of course. But a prerequisite to doing this is number one, you have to do mashwara. Some people, they think the khira gives you ulum al-ghayb. My uncle was in the shrine of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. Sallu alayhi bi'ala al-aswat. He says there was a brother that came up to him, young brother. He says, Sayyidina, do you mind doing an istikhara, akhira? He says, sure, go ahead. Did you make your intention? Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He opens the Holy Quran. He tells him the verse is bad. Don't go through with this. He starts saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. La hawla. What's wrong? What could this possibly be? He says, no, then this means my wife is a bad person. He says, what? What do you mean? What does this have to do with that? He says, no, this means my wife's a bad person because my intention was, is my wife a good or bad person? He says, brother, you don't even understand what an istikhara is. That's not how it works. That's invalid. Istikhara does not give you realities of this universe. It's not ilmul ghayb. It's consultation on if you do something or you don't do something. It won't tell you if GME is a good investment or not a good investment. It just tells you, I've done my mashwara, I've consulted, but I still don't know what is the right decision. That's where you resort to istikhara. You've done your research, you've read online, you've read the fundamentals, you're still confused. You go to the experts in any given field, people that have experience in that area, you consult them, you still have some conflicting opinions. Usually that should settle it. But if it doesn't, then you can resort to istikhara. That's the proper way of going about it. Of course, seeking the guidance and knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal, nothing's wrong with that. But sometimes it gets to a certain point that perhaps your aql, your intellect, is being nullified. Some people, every single decision they have, they do istikhara. There was a Sayyid, he told me there's a lady, she calls him 15 times a day. Sayyidina istikhara, 8 a.m. 9:15 a.m. Sayyidina istikhara. 15 times throughout the day. How could you have 15 life-altering major decisions every single day? Allahu alam. Maybe this person's a general, some war or something. But the idea here is that Allah Azza wa Jal gave you the aql. First you use it. Then you still haven't arrived at a conclusion. You read up, you educate yourself. You consult the experts. Then, if you're still in a state of hira, confusion, you can consult the Holy Quran. Now, what are some tips that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam have given us on who to consult? What should be the qualities of people that you consult? You're convinced, all right, I should do some consultation. Consultation is a very good thing. Who do I consult? In one hadith, this blessed hadith states, إِنَّ الْمَشْوَرَةَ لَا تَكُونْ إِلَّا بِحُدُودِهَا الْأَرْبَعَةِ. Mashwara has 4 conditions. فَأَوَّلُهَا أَن يَكُونَ الَّذِي تُشَاوِرُهُ عَاقِلًا. Step number 1, make sure that the person that you're consulting is aqil. Uses their proper intellect, meaning they're mature. Don't ask a teenager. Don't ask someone that makes stupid life decisions to give you advice. You want someone that seems like they're responsible, they're mature. You can tell they've got their business together. You consult someone like that. وَالثَّانِيَةُ أَن يَكُونَ حُرًّا مُتَدَيِّنًا. Secondly, this person should be free and religious. What does this mean? This person should be free. They shouldn't be a slave to their own desires, a slave to this dunya. And they should be practicing the faith of Allah. Now, if you ask an alcoholic for advice, they'll give you much different advice than someone that is not an alcoholic. If you ask someone that goes and gambles at the casino every weekend for advice, they're probably not going to give you the advice that you need. You ask someone that is on the proper faith, on the path following Allah Azza wa Jal. Third, وَالثَّالِثَةُ أَن يَكُونَ صَدِيقًا مُوَاخِيًا. And this is very important. Make sure that the person that you choose actually has your best interests at heart. Some people, you ask them for their advice, but they feel threatened. Oh, this person's entering the same career as me. This person wants to do the same thing that I'm doing, drop shipping. And then this other brother, he wants to come and do drop shipping. That's competition for me. So when he comes and asks me for advice, I say, no. Try to make sure that this person, their history has shown that they have a good heart. They've only willed the best for you. You go and you ask that person. And lastly, the hadith continues, وَالرَّابِعَةُ أَن تُطْلِعُهُ عَلَى سِرِّكَ فَيَكُونُ عِلْمُهُ بِكَ كَعِلْمِكَ ثُمَّ يَسِرُّ ذَلِكَ وَيَكْتُمْ. If you want someone to give you proper advice, you have to give them the full context of your scenario. If you're asking for consultation when it comes to marriage, when it comes to what kind of career you want, when you go and you ask someone for consultation and they fit all the other criteria that we described, the last and important criteria is you give them your personal outlook, your personal circumstances, so that they can give you a more personalized response. And then the final part was they should be trustworthy in that whatever that is confidential that you share with them, they keep it secret, right? It's between you two. And inshallah, to conclude, there's a beautiful hadith attributed to Rasulullah sallu alayhi bi'ala al-aswat. Allahumma. The hadith says, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي. Rasulullah is speaking to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. He says, "Oh Ali, لا تشاور جبانا." Don't consult the coward. فإنه يضيق عليك المخرج. Because a coward is always going to tell you, no, you'll never get out of this. No, don't quit your job and start this business idea. It could be a wonderful, great business idea. But this person, they're a coward. They've never used to taking risks. So they'll tell you, no, don't do this. You're trying to move to a different city, perhaps for better economic opportunities. No, there could be dangers there. You don't know what's going to happen. You might regret it. Well, any path that you take in life, you might regret. But you take the path that makes the most sense. But a coward will always tell you, no. So you avoid the advice of a coward. وَلَا تُشَاوِرْ الْبَخِيلِ فَإِنَّهُ يَقْصُرْ بِكَ عَنْ غَايَتِكَ. And don't ask for the consultation of a stingy person. Because for them, their greatest purpose in life is always to hoard their wealth. Hoard and hoard and hoard. You ask that person, you're in a community here in the US, for example, and there's no Islamic center. There's no Imam Barga. So you tell them, hey brother, do you think it's a good idea? A few of us gather and we try to first maybe rent a hall and then institute a place. They'll say, no, that's going to be expensive. Think of the rent, think of this, taxes, 1 million issues before you've even started. Permit costs. So don't ask for the consultation of a bakhil. You ask your friend, my son is getting married, we're doing a walima. Where do you think we should host it? He says, no, walima. There's no need for a walima. Just keep it private, keep it personal, just family. A bakhil is always going to give you advice that you want to avoid. And then Rasulullah continues telling Amir al-Mu'mineen, وَلَا تُشَاوِرْ حَرِيصًا فَإِنَّهُ يُزَيِّن لَكَ شَرَّهُمَا. And don't ask for the consultation of someone that's haris. someone that's just obsessed with this dunya. Because their advice is also not going to be very beneficial for you. And then finally, وَاعْلَمْ يَا عَلِي أَنَّ الْجُبْنَ وَالْبُخْلَ وَالْحِرْص غَرِيزَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ يَجْمَعُهَا سُوءُ الظَّنِّ. He says to Amir al-Mu'mineen, know that these three qualities, stinginess, greediness, being haris, they all have the same root, سُوءُ الظَّنِّ. You don't give the benefit of the doubt to Allah Azza wa Jal. If you've done your research and it really makes sense that you should go and start this business, you should have tawakkul. You've done your research. Anything can happen, but have tawakkul on Allah that inshallah this will succeed. Some people, they'll tell you if you do a walima, that's going to cost you, and then people are going to expect for your other son, your other daughter, you have to do a walima, and so on, so you're going to go broke. Where is the benefit of the doubt? Husn dhan fillah. Allah is the raziq. Yes, of course you go, you work, you make your income, but ultimately Allah gives you a rizq. All these attributes, they share in the root of su' al-dhan fillah Azza wa Jal. Thus, the seerah, the sunnah of the holy prophets, of Rasulullah, of Amir al-Mu'mineen, is in whatever field, whatever sector that you're trying to get into, you ask for mashwara, you ask for consultation. You find even here in the US, the most successful cities are the places with the best boards, with the best councils where they can discuss. We live here in the United States where it's not run by people. Any institution is run by the institution. And good institutions have different people with various backgrounds so that you can come up with more ingenious and better solutions. Even at mosques and centers. For programs to be successful, imagine if one person, they have their preferences, they have their tastes, they want the program to be at this hour, to be in this style, to bring this type of person. Well, a community has varied members, people from all backgrounds, all faiths, all types of areas. The way you become successful is you involve everyone in the community. As a family, you want to have a successful family? Yes, we do believe that within the faith of Islam, the husband should lead the family. But what kind of leadership is that? Whatever I says goes? The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam states, the man that dictates all his desires on his family, this is a man that might not see heaven. A proper man is the one who leads with mashwara. He listens, he consults his wife, he consults his children, and then they collectively can come at a decision. This is the prophetic sunnah. You find even when it comes to the instances of Karbala and Ashura, Imam Al-Khoei alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, in numerous reports, صلوا عليه بأعلى الأصوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى. He would ask for the consultation of his Sahaba and his family members. Where we should set camp, which person should be my emissary. Always, Imam Al-Khoei would seek the consultations of others, especially those he trusts. And one individual whom Imam Al-Khoei alayhi afdal salatu wassalam would have immaculate trust in that person's guidance, in that person's advice and shura, was of course his brother Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. We recite, if you've been to Karbala, you visited the shrine of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, we recite in the ziyarah of Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, أشهد أنك نصحت لله. I bear witness that you gave advice to your brother Abu Abdullah al-Hussein for the sake of Allah. In one hadith, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi afdal salatu wassalam states, كان عمنا العباس نافذ البصيرة. Our uncle Abbas alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, he had impeccable foresight. He had impeccable aql, impeccable intellect. He had a level of isma. And that's why Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, he relied on his judgment in many cases. Even Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salatu wassalam, despite him being an imam, despite him having the full and complete aql at his time, he was the greatest of creation, he would ask for mashwara. There were times when he would look at his aunt Lady Zainab and he would ask for mashwara. So no one, my dear brothers and sisters, is above mashwara, is above consultation and guidance, thinking that they know it all. Because this is the seerah of our Imams. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, he was once asked, of all these tragedies of Karbala, and Imam Zain al-Abidin was a first-hand witness to all the tragedies of Karbala. May Allah help the heart of Imam Zain al-Abidin. Of all these tragedies of Karbala, what was the most difficult? We wonder, oh Imam Zain al-Abidin, was it seeing Ali al-Akbar fall from his horse? And seeing your father Imam al-Hussein place his body on the body of Ali al-Akbar? Was that the most difficult of the saga of Karbala and Ashura? Was it when you saw the arms of your uncle Abu al-Fadl Abbas maimed? Was it when you saw that cursed enemy of Allah, Harmala, pierce the neck of that 6-month-old infant? The Imam responded, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. My dear brothers and sisters, mu'mineen, mu'minat, Ash-Sham was the most difficult part of the tragedies of Karbala. Some people think after the 10th, after Ashura, that's it. We can take off our black, the morning has ended. Believers, mu'mineen, mu'minat, that is when the masa'ib began. Can you imagine a figure so beloved to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam? And we spoke last night about that. He couldn't handle to see Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam trip when he was a young child, and the blessed head of Imam al-Hussein is placed on the spears. The women and the children and Imam Zain al-Abidin, they were shackled and they were paraded from city to city. And they weren't taken directly from Karbala to Sham. They were taken through every single village on the way in order to humiliate the people that they were taking, the family of Rasulullah. After arriving to Sham, these cursed tyrants, Yazid and the Shia of Yazid, they celebrated with a large parade the entrance of the women and Imam Zain al-Abidin to the city of Sham. They were taken to the castle of Yazid. The women, they were placed inside the castle in a dungeon, in a room not befitting animals to live in. Yazid had called for all the women and Imam Zain al-Abidin to come to the courtyard. Standing by his side was his wife Hind. Hind, she had come from a Bedouin tribe from the deserts. In her youth, she served the household of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal salam. She knew him personally. And she had heard of the tragedy of Karbala and she didn't accept this. She was opposed to this. So she came. She had heard that Hashemites, the Alawiyat, the daughters of Rasulullah, they were gathered in her castle. She went to go visit them. She told them, tell me, what happened to Imam al-Hussein? Is he here with us? And then the woman, they tell her, look at that spear. And look at that blessed head on the spear. That's Imam al-Hussein. She said, tell me, what has happened to Al-Abbas? I used to serve Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Again, the woman, they point to the spear. She starts asking for all the relatives until she says, if the case has been that all the men have been slaughtered, then all the women must be here. Tell me, where is Zainab? I used to serve Lady Zainab. And then the lady speaking to her tells her, I have been Zainab. The person you've been asking and speaking to all this time, this is Lady Zainab, Bibi Zainab. She says, no, you can't be Bibi Zainab. I was a servant not too long ago. I remember Bibi Zainab. You don't look like Bibi Zainab. And the reason is, my dear brothers and sisters, because the son of the sons of Karbala and the tragedies of Karbala, they changed the face of Bibi Zainab. To the extent that this lady, she couldn't even recognize her. When she saw that this was Bibi Zainab, this was the person she used to serve, she fell at her feet and she began kissing the feet of Lady Zainab. And she started reciting according to a report, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. At night, the women, they were treated to that dungeon, to that room. Lady Zainab, she had the difficult task of making sure everyone was accounted for. Late at night, she hears whimpering and sobbing from one of the children. She goes, she sees it's one of the young daughters of Imam al-Hussein. According to some reports, Lady Sukaina, Bibi Sukaina or Bibi Ruqayya. She says, why are you crying, my young daughter? She says, I long to see my father. She's a young girl. She misses her father. She's only recently been orphaned. She begins crying throughout the night. Yazid, this cursed tyrant of Allah, he's bothered, he's annoyed, he wants to sleep. He asks the guard, what's the commotion? Why is there this young girl crying? Go see what she wants. They go, they come back. They say, she tells us she wants to see her father. And this cursed tyrant with a heart of stone, he says, go and give her her father. She's in the room, she sees the guards approaching with a large plate and a cover. They say, take this. She says, I didn't ask for food. I'm not hungry. I don't want this. They said, we did not bring food. They place this plate in front of this young daughter of Imam al-Hussein. She uncovers it and she sees the blessed head of Imam al-Hussein. His blood stained with his beard stained with his blood. She begins hugging and embracing the head of her father and telling him, oh father, I've missed you. She begins crying all throughout the night until her wells go still. Lady Zainab, she goes to check up on her. She says perhaps she slept. She goes, she touches the body of this blessed young girl and she finds that this young girl has passed away. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون فسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. O Allah, we ask you with hearts full of sincerity, knowing the sanctity of these nights of Muharram that we are in, we raise our hands and by the blessed verse that we recite 5 times, we ask you to grant us our hajat. All together, my dear brothers and sisters. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. Ya Allah. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله 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 Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. O Allah, forgive us of our sins. O Allah, grant us our hajat. O Allah, grant shifa and healing to our loved ones. O Allah, grant your tranquility to Muslims all across the globe, wherever they may be. The Muslim ummah is undergoing incredible fitna. O Allah, erase the fires of fitna that is undergoing our Muslim brothers and sisters, wherever they may be, whether that is in Iran, whether that is in Gaza, in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Sudan, in Iraq, in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, wherever the followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam and Muslims may be, destroy the fires of fitna, O Allah. Grant Muslims peace and serenity. Grant us our hajat. Grant us the life built upon the foundations of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And grant us death on the path of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of our marhumeen, our loved ones, those who have departed, those who have contributed to these majalis, who have volunteered, let us all recite Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. Before that, Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. مأتم حسين. يا حسين. يا حسين. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein.
Ya Hussein. अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं कैसा है ये चरागा कैसा है ये चरागा दिल डूबे जा रहे हैं क्या शाम आ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं नेज़ों पे जितने सर हैं एक सर है उनमें ऐसा आंखें हैं बंद उसकी और खाक पर है गिरता अब्बास का ये सर है तेवर बता रहे हैं क्या शाम आ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं माँओं की गोदियों से लिपटे हुए हैं बच्चे हैं हाथ रस्सियों में माँओं के ऐसे जकड़े बच्चे जो गिर रहे हैं वो मरते जा रहे हैं क्या शाम आ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं होने लगी अजाने कैसे सरों को ढांपे बाजू बंधे हुए हैं खून रो रही हैं आंखें आँखों के खून से रास्ते खून में नहा रहे हैं क्या शाम आ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं या हुसैन अल्लाहुम्मा
السلام عليك يا رسول الله يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين السلام عليك يا عسى بن علي المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. وعلى جعل الله وآخر هدي مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي يا مولاي يا أبا الفضل عباس ابن أمير المؤمنين، وأختك زينب وأم كلثوم وبنت سكينة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد الحادي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا حجة بن الحسن يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمام من والجان. عجل على ظهورك عجل على ظهورك يا ابن الحسن يا ابن الحسن، عجل على ظهورك عجل على ظهورك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.